All right, no peace, no love. What's up, everyone? Jack Mangan. You know me from lots of places. Support Life and Music, Metal Asylum, Metal Hall of Fame. I always say this. Sometimes they let me in the door over the metal voice. But today it's not about me. We're talking to one of the most exciting, just straightforward, straight ahead, kick-ass hard rock, heavy metal bands on the scene today. They're kind of a rising force. We're going to get to that. We're talking to Sammy Lee of the band Red Rain. Sammy, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Jack. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Yeah, no, it's good to talk to you. Yeah, Red Rain is exciting. And so, I mean, you guys are celebrating. I guess pretty soon I can't call you guys up and coming, right? It's been over 10 years now, right?
It
Is
has
that the
been, yeah. It's been a fun ride, I'll tell you that much.
All right, well, let's talk about. I mean, you guys are kind of, skyrocketing. And you guys have gotten some great attentions from some great people. And our main goal today is to talk about one of the big events for you guys. But talk to me about how, you're kind of skyrocket, your rocket ride to success. Talk to me about how
Sure.
you guys have gotten such attention, like George Lynch and that kind of thing. Like, talk to
Well,
me.
it's obviously a long story, but I'll try to shorten as best I can. The singer and I were in a prior band years ago. Bubba's his nickname, but Bubba and I were in a band before that, and I've known Bubba a long time. We grew up in the same area. And when we left that other band, we had some ideas that we wanted to continue. And so we put together this band, brought in our bass player, Larry Moore. And as soon as we started getting into the recording process, we were lucky enough to grab Stevie Shred, our guitar player, also, who was in another band in Richmond. And so we got the ball rolling. We've had a little bit of help on the way. I have no problems mentioning that, but and I hope it's okay to say this, but our good friends over at the Classic Metal Show, Neely and Chris, they're the ones that really got the ball rolling for us. Been a friend of Neely's for 20 some odd years, and Chris, and they really helped me get in touch with the people that helped skyrocketed the band to where we are today. So I always like to give them the credit. They don't really care for it, but you got to be honest on how you got there. And so once we got to the right people, then we got the shows and the publicity and everything else that we needed. So, and here we are today.
Great. Yeah,
That's
of
a
course.
quick version, by the way, very quick.
Yeah, we can flesh it out a little bit. But so let's get right to the point so that we don't miss the point, and then we'll keep chatting a little bit as time allows. But you guys are
Sure.
doing something really exciting. Let's talk about Metal Allegiance. You guys are doing the Metal Allegiance 2026 show at NAMM this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Talk to me about what you guys are stoked for, how that feels like. Talk to me all about it. What we're going to
So
expect to see it.
yeah. So it's first of all, what a great feeling to be invited. That's just even be not have your name mentioned was great. We had just gotten off tour with LA Guns and just had a really good relationship with those guys. I mean, those guys are just I mean, every band we played with has been great to us. Very welcoming. But they kind of and a couple other bands too. But they were the last tour we did. But they stood out and they really sort of helped us find that path to Metal Allegiance, believe it or not. And excuse me. And so we were asked to do it, and we are so stoked. We are, it's our first time on the West Coast, obviously, as a band playing. We get a good 30-minute set that we're pretty stoked about. We have some songs that are a little bit that are kind of here, and then some slower ones, but we're going full throttle on this one. So everything here is going to be rock. Uh, one misconception I like to tell people, or that's a misconception, is people think that we're a really heavy metal band, and we're really not. We're what I consider and call ourselves. It's a power hard rock melodic band. So there's some power behind it, but we're not like a really metal band. It's just that's why I put a slogan there, just a good old American rock band. So again, we have 2 days that we're out there. We're filled up the whole days, and of course, the last day is playing Metal Legions and some of the great musicians that have been in the industry for so long. And I'm excited to be in the same room with some of those musicians. So it's just awesome.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, Metal Legions. I've seen it a couple of times. It's a really fun show. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a great time. I think you guys are a great fit too. Actually, let me run something by you, see if you
Yeah,
agree.
sure.
I felt like Red Rains. I felt, when I listen, I feel like you guys are like a strong callback to like classic Dokken, later era Winger. Maybe not the first record, but like when he got a little heavier.
Sure.
Tesla, Kicks, Badlands, Warrior Soul. Like that's kind of what I hear. So definitely, I would say there's definitely metal. There's crunchy guitars, metal, but yeah, it's also, like I said, it harkens back to that era in my view.
No, no,
Not
that's
yeah,
the great thing. It's so funny because, our singer is the one that basically comes in with the idea, and the singer's the only one that writes the words. And and we were talking one time because I do a lot of the interviews, and I would say to him, "Hey, I need to know what were you thinking write this song?" And he's always hesitant to tell me because really what you said, he's like, I want the people to have their own meaning or have their own thoughts about what we're about. We do have that 80s flair. I make no bones about that, but we're not an 80s band. And,
right.
but we are all fans of that genre, and so obviously, um, those guys, the other three guys in the band, and myself, we all have our favorite bands from the 80s, and so of course you're going to bring that kind of style when you're, as the drummer. I don't really do a lot of writing, but like when I hear something, I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate that with one of my favorite drummers? It's always sort of that thing. So yeah, I appreciate that. And we've heard that a lot. I remember I did an interview. Somebody said we reminded them of like the Ramones. Not, I don't see it, but somebody else does. And so that's the beauty about music. And it's so subjective that, you know, and we welcome that. I mean, that's great. Whatever brings you back to where you were that makes you happy, that's awesome.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, and you know what I'll say, I mentioned one of the bands that I mentioned is from sort of from your neck of the woods. Like, if I can broaden that area where you guys are in that
Sure.
southeastern, like DC, Northern Virginia, even West Virginia,
We're a
like,
little more south. We're a little more
yeah.
south. We're in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, so is it wrong then? Is it inaccurate to kind of lump you guys in with maybe Maryland era bands and that, or are you?
No, no, not at all. No, not at all.
Because
I mean,
like I said, there's a thriving, there's been a number of great bands to come out of like that part of the country.
absolutely, absolutely. And but so we're in the Mid-Atlantic, and that's where Maryland and DC and yeah, and the Carolinas, and so yeah, I mean we're lumped in there, but we're but people always ask like where exactly are we from? We're from Richmond, Virginia, and there's been some really big bands that have come out of Richmond that I don't know if people know, but like Guar's one of them. So
Yeah,
Guar's right in our back door, back door as far as like here in Richmond. Lamb of God is from here.
great. Yeah.
Firehouse actually originated here. So yeah, so there's some great music comes out of Richmond as well.
Excellent. Well, let's sell people a little bit more on Red Rain if they're not familiar. Like I said, I think you've done a good job of describing the sound of it. But what? There's also you guys have the new record. It's the Live at Ardmore Music Hall. I guess it's an EP, right? But you got the new record. I think that I listening to the studio album versus that. I think they're both quality, but I definitely get the live sense. I get like the sense of the energy. Like talk to me a little bit more about what you guys are all about.
Sure. So, you know, it's funny because some people that I'm really close with, like they always think we kind of retread the same old songs. But when you put a live album out and being in music and everything else, I mean, when you play live, there's so much discussion about live playing these days. Uh, is it real? Is it not real? We were lucky enough that when we were supporting LA Guns, we hit a town where our producer's from, and he had the idea. He's like, "Hey, why don't I just come in and record live and see what we can capture?" And it really it captures what we do live. I mean, the good I think, and again, this is always my opinion. People will disagree, but one thing I was listening to the tracks of the live album, and it's not much different from the album, but it's a little more raw. It is a little heavier live. Obviously, you're not in a controlled atmosphere, and that's really what we want people to understand is, it's a live show. And come on out, and you're going to hear Bubba sound like Bubba. You're gonna hear Stevie sound like. I mean, we really take pride in playing live to make sure that again that people who don't know who we are, we try to make it a point to look. You might not know who we are now, and you might not even remember who we are, but you're going to enjoy what we do on stage, and that's what we were trying to capture. And I felt like we captured it damn well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I like it, and I like the stage banter. Sometimes when you listen to a live record, you're like, all right, get on with it. But no, I like the
Yeah.
stage banter. That's but from Bubba. This I think it's good. It's well done, and that's a 2026 release, right? The
It
live
is.
album.
It
Yeah,
was just released today. And to be honest with you, we did cut down on the banter. There was more, but we'll save that for people. But yeah, we made it so that there was enough banter that people knew that we were live. This is not tracks. This is not nothing. This was a show we recorded up in Pennsylvania while we were supporting LA Guns.
nice. Well, and let's talk a little bit about that. Well, LA Guns, I've seen them live, and they're incredible live. Like recently, I've seen them live, and they're I think I won't name names, but I felt like when I saw them, they were the opener, and I felt like they blew away the headliner. They're
Yeah.
such a So talk to me about some of the other great acts you've played with. Like LA Guns, obviously that's a fantastic band to play with.
The
Who else?
great band.
Yeah.
So when we started out our very first show, and again, I'm just got to preface this because I always feel like if I say these things, I feel like I'm bragging, and I'm really not. I'm just kind of telling facts. But we did have a good run. But our very first show was with Lita Ford, and that what a great that was our very first uh, quote unquote national act that we opened up with. And then right after that we got really lucky. We got on a Tesla tour. Again, another great band who made us feel welcome. Great musicians, great players. And that was another great tour. And then from that point on, I think that was around 2017. From 2017, 18, and 19, we had toured on and off with Tesla, which was great. But we've also played shows with Firehouse. We've played shows with Kix, Winger, Slaughter, Dokken, Quiet Riot, Jackal, Striper. I'm trying to think. Nazareth. We just got off the road with Nazareth last year, almost 2 years ago. Um, who else? Yeah. I wish I could say more. I mean, I'm probably forgetting somebody, but yeah, we've been with all those great acts.
Yeah,
And
that's no, sorry, go on. That's great.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. And I was gonna say, every one of them, once again, very courteous. Treated us well. Nothing. No stories of I mean, everything was great. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Um, well, let's take a little bit of a detour. So what does it take? Actually, no, let me rephrase it. Uh, how do we all have to kind of pay the rent and pay for groceries and whatnot. How do you kind of balance everything? And, we all have people in our lives that need us, and a band is a huge commitment. I mean, how do you kind of keep the balance of everything, everything in life and band? How do you kind of keep it and then keep the band going?
So that's a great question. Actually, nobody's ever asked me that. um, But I will tell you, it is hard. It is because we all have jobs. We have full-time jobs. Music, and if you've been in it long enough and you know about it, there's really not a lot of money in it anymore. So we all know that. We do it for the love of it. I mean, it's when you have that kind of passion, it's hard. It's hard, no matter how old you are or how young you are. It's a passion that never goes away. So for us, um, we're lucky enough to know when a tour's coming up or a show date's coming up, and we have plenty of time to plan for it. I think the longest we've been away from home was a week and a half, so we're not gone a long time, and that's on purpose. Excuse me one second. That's done on purpose. But
Mhm.
also, the sad part of it, which is we'd like to play longer and we'd like to play more. And we've actually turned down more tours because they were too long and we just couldn't do it. And you got to know your limitations. And especially if there's little to no money that you can't survive, then what's the point? You know what I mean? And when you do have families and children, or I mean, most of us, our children are older, so they're not young, but still you provide. And so that does make it a little harder. But if logistically we make it work. We're lucky enough, and we have our management team and our publicists and all that, they all understand it. So we've been able to work around it to this point.
Okay, great. Well, and then I don't know. I don't know if I hope I'm not prying here, but this is an
You're not.
interview. So what is the goal though with Red Rain is to say sayonara to the day jobs and do this full time? Is that the goal or what is the goal with where are you going with
Well,
this?
listen, I mean, I think we'd all love to do it full time. I mean, I think that would be the ultimate goal. I, you know, I have, you know, I've changed my stance a little bit about it because I look around and again, everything I'm telling you is my opinion. So it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, or doesn't mean it's written in stone. But I feel like music's changed to the point that people don't care about music as much as they used to. And let me explain that. And my poor bandmates are so tired of me of saying this, but it's a true statement. It's where I am. But I'm a Van Halen fan. I'm a original Van Halen. And the reason I bring this up is it really did sort of change my life. I mean, when you're younger and let's just say, and we all know that music's changed. Where you buy the album, you see the pictures, and you read all the liner notes and everything else. I mean, that's gone. And so I think that takes away. And then all the musical art that was on, the Iron Maiden albums and the Priest. I mean, it's all gone. But even to this day, like if I'm in a real pissy mood or I'm in a bad mood, I can throw in some old Van Halen and I'm just like, ah. And it does. It takes me somewhere else. I feel like music doesn't do that for a lot of people anymore. That, it's a passing thing now with the way music's being distributed and everything else. It's too quick to judge. I mean, we had to buy an album when we were younger, and there was, 10 songs, and five might be great and five might have stunk, but you heard it, you listened to it, and so on. So to go back, the goal would be to go out and play and be a name and everything else. But I'm not sure. I guess my where I'm leading to is I'm not even sure that's feasible anymore. I
Yeah.
don't know. Time will tell.
No, that's absolutely a great answer, and it's very true. Yeah, I think you're right. Music for many people is just what's on at the supermarket. It's not it's not something like you said where you go home and pour over everything and play the tape until it snaps. Yeah,
Well, and again, I understand times are different and every generation is different, but like obviously we know there's no radio to support rock and roll. When I'm talking about rock and roll, I'm talking about like the AC/DCs. Now I know it's all classic rock, but I'm talking about newer bands because there are some great newer bands. Like some of the shows that I mentioned that we opened, that was always there. There might have been another support act on there, and we've met some great people that are putting out some good original music. And so I think the originality scares people. I mean, because look, we all know what we know, and it's great to go have a couple drinks with the friends and go to a bar and hear that song that from 30 years ago. But at some point in time, it's got to evolve. And I just feel like it has rock and roll. I'm not saying it's dead. It's out there. You just got to go find it. That's the problem. But yeah, I mean, I would love to make it a full-time thing. I just don't think it's there anymore.
fair enough. All right,
Yeah,
all right. Well, I got going to try to do three more questions in the time we got, if
sure,
you're up for it. So,
sure.
I actually, you kind of read my mind a little bit. I wanted to geek out. I've read a little bit of, you talked in the past about Alex Van Halen. So let's geek out a little bit about the musicians like Alex Van Halen and other guys who maybe inspired you and who, who made you want to do this.
Alex Van Halen. And I'll tell you why, I don't bring up other names. Now I would, but when I was younger, I was a very closed-minded person. I literally, when I, and I'm still friends with all my friends from the sixth grade, and there's like 20 of us. They could tell you, I listened to nothing but Van Halen every day, all day. As I got older, I realized there's other music out there. But I mean, there's so many great drummers. I mean, you could go through Tommy Aldridge's, you can go through Mike Portnoy, who was Neil Peart, John Bonham,
Mhm.
Keith Moon. You can go through all that. Carl Palmer. You can go through all of them. Ginger Baker. They're all great. And then when I finally got older enough and I was at work, like it was really more when I started working that you could stream music through, and then I would just listen to some of the other music. But really, Van Halen as a whole, not just Alex, but Van Halen as a whole is really what got me into music. I mean, to see David Lee Roth up there, a Tarzan-like character, and then Eddie and Mike, I mean, it just fit. I mean, that was the band. And so, but Alex, as a drummer, um, the four bass drums on the stage and the big gong with the fire. And so, yeah, yeah. I mean, I unfortunately, I don't have many stories to tell because that's all I listened to for literally for like 15 years.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, but and it is. I'll just say Alex is probably it's because David and Eddie were such giant personalities and just such giant stars. Like I think if he'd been in a different band, he would be. I think he'd be get more. He'd be a little more lauded. I think for
I,
sure.
I agree. He's overshadowed by his brother, obviously, but I also think a lot of people. I feel like he's underrated. I don't think he gets enough credit, but
Yeah.
but that's me.
All right. Well, well, first let's circle back um, to Metal Allegiance. What are you guys doing? Like, I know there's a lot going on that week. Are you guys connected to any other big events at that of NAMM week, I guess, as
So
we
we
call it?
are. So really, this is only a 2-day trip for us, really. So we're
Okay.
flying out late Tuesday. Wednesday, we were invited and we were actually in the talks of playing, but we are going to be at the Metal Hall of Fame ceremony. So we will be there. We're going to be at all three events there as well. Um, so that's really exciting for us. Excuse me. And then, and then of course that speaks for itself if you know about the Metal Hall of Fame. So we're going to be at the pre-party, we're going to be at the actual ceremony, and then we'll be at the post party afterwards. And then that'll be Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll do our thing at Anaheim, and then unfortunately we fly out at 6 a.m. Friday. We're not staying for NAMM. We couldn't really get in. It was becoming too much of a headache to try to get us all in. One of our band members is staying for it, but the three of us are coming back. So, but we're just so excited to be there. It's just not even, just to be even associated with it.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, the Metal Hall of Fame's doing something a little different this year. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to be part of it. I'm working there this year, so I'll see you
That's
there for
cool.
sure.
Yep,
Um,
yep. We'll definitely hook up there.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, it's been great, Sammy. I really appreciate the time. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Can you take us out, tell us a little bit about what's coming up in 2026 for you and for Red Rain?
Yeah, so really, I don't really know much after this. I mean, I know we are talking about some new music, some newer music coming out. I think that's on the docket as of right this moment. So we just want to get through this. This is really what we're fully concentrating on. But we do have some songs in the arsenal that when we get back, we'll take a week off, kind of let the California thing, set in, and then we'll probably start that. And then we're also looking at some shows as well. So we're in the beginning stages of that. That's about it for right now, that I know of. Because again, we
Mhm.
for the last month when we go on tour or we do a show, I mean that's our full concentration. So I don't try to look too past that, but I do know we have some new music we're working on, and again shows. That's about it. I wish I had a better answer.
No, that's all right. Yeah, well, everyone just stay tuned. Red Rain, everyone. Sammy Lee, thank you so much for talking to us today, and looking forward to seeing and hearing you guys live, and looking forward to new stuff from Red Rain this year.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to meeting you in person out there.